Welcome into a brand new episode of the Patriots Hub podcast. Day after game, another Victory Monday with Alex Barth and David Andrews as the Patriots beat the Tennessee Titans 31-13. And the biggest thing in this one, David, the run game finally got going. What went right in this game?
Well, first of all, I don't know what the media covered when the team was so good. It's harder to sit here and find things. I'm so happy they're winning, but when it's winning, I don't know. It's easier to say everything's okay. But
that's when you start talking about, the opponent's not as good.
Yeah.
Well, hypothetically, when they get to, but we're a long way from there.
But the running game got going, and it was a clear emphasis early on. I really liked some of the things they did early on. Kind of the first play of the game was a play they kind of ran multiple times, and it's an interesting kind of concept. We ran something similar. It's a little different, but they kind of start to the left side, which is the opened inside, running a downhill run. But the way the O-line blocks it and leverages, and what really tells you this is if you watch Bradbury, right? So he goes left, so it looks like inside zone left. But when if you were blocking inside zone left as a center, you really want to fit that linebacker square to give the back a two-way go. He leverages the back right, and you can see Ramondre bend it right because it's technically the backside on how the play starts, but the right side's the only double team, and they really do a great job. Mac Hollins kind of seals the edge, and it kind of winds back, and it helps leverage the defense and creates a big hole. Really love that concept from the offensive coaches, and it was good execution from the team, obviously. But, I really thought Mondre looked like his old self. There's been a lot of talk, maybe some of his production being down because the fumbles and that kind of being in the back of his mind. But I thought he ran really confident yesterday. He was downhill. He's physical, and that's where he's at his best. And look, the O-line did a good job. The receivers did a good job. I saw Chisholm out there blocking. That was good to see. Diggs out there blocking a couple times. So, and we talked last week about some of the finish. Look, that doesn't necessarily mean driving the guy 5 yards and dumping him. It just means staying on your block longer, finishing. And there was some really good examples of that. I think it was play 3 of the game. Not a great play. It's just every run's not going to be successful. And Mondre's kind of finding somewhere to go. And you just see Morgan Moses really try to finish, starts to drive his guy. And a lot of times in the run game, it's very rarely you just blow the guy off the ball. But what happens is defenders start, right, they get in their technique. It's kind of a stalemate. Well, they start looking for the ball, right? They stand up, look, and that is where you can feel that as an O-lineman, and that is where you can get your movement. And, it's a great example because it's nothing there. You see more the kind of a stalemate, and then all of a sudden he starts to finish the guy. Mondre finds it, it pops out. It's 4 or 5 yard game, whatever it was. And, we kind of talked about that. So you saw some of that yesterday. And then you see some examples throughout the game of where the plays are really well blocked and there's something there. And it's just one block here or there, right? Maybe not get to someone on the backside, whatever it may be, get picked, which happens. But I think it's such a indication of what the run game's been these first 6-7 weeks, right? Where it's like, you're like, man, what's going on? It looks good. It's not. Is it the back's fault? And everything's tied in together. So overall, I think they did a really good job. And there's certain things, where I talk about the run game having such a big effect on the passing game because it's really hard in the NFL just to get guys wide open. But how you do that is through the running game. And you see that, I think it was in the third quarter. Yeah, third quarter. It's 13:08 in the third quarter, and they run that same kind of action I said they started the game off, right? So they've ran it a few times. It's an 8-man box, so it's light coverage. Watch the linebackers and the safety that's in the box. I think the safety's in the backfield trying to stop the run, and he's getting blocked. The protection was good. And, Mac Hollins is wide open over the middle. You can't create that by just running routes a lot of times. Maybe some pick routes, rub routes, different things like that, but those are hard to do. And, so it's just when you're able to do that, it just allows other things to take place. And, that to me was if this team wants to go as far as everyone wants them and think they could go, it's going to have to be the running game, because you can't allow just Drake Maye to try to go win you games. Now, again, he did it again this week. Like, his performance again this week is, I mean, obviously set a franchise record. So, but when he's able to not have to just do it every day, that to me is huge. And he didn't necessarily have to do it. He still made those plays because that's how good he's playing right now. But it was good to see the run game going, and good to see Ramondre, in my opinion, get back to what he can be.
I also just think it's interesting, and you mentioned how well Drake's playing. We'll get to that, but it still kind of feels like teams are daring the Patriots to throw and stacking the box.
I feel like that. And it just, to me, is it's mind-blowing a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's not like, okay, he did it once.
Right. It's one thing when it's week 1 or 2 and he's not really proven, but how much more do you need to see?
He's done it almost, I mean, we're 7 games in. So, I mean, 40% of the season? I mean, I don't know, almost 50% of the season. He's done it. And it's not just been like, 2 games out of those. It's been a string of I would say since Miami on almost.
Yeah, really.
Where it's like, teams are going to have to change the way they play the Patriots, and hopefully with the running game, now you're creating more problems for this team.
I was going to say, so is it fair to say things should get easier for the run game moving forward?
I would hope so, and I would think so.
Or if not, if teams want to keep playing single high against Drake Maye, I mean, by all means, go for it.
Yeah, go for it. And, and I think talking about the passing game, one thing I love to see with this team, and we kind of saw it again yesterday.
Yeah.
Sure, when Diggs goes off for 120 yards like he did those, what was it?
Against
Bills
Carolina and Buffalo.
Yeah, Carolina and Buffalo. Like, that's great.
Yep.
But the last few weeks, you just see Drake spreading the ball. Hooper comes up big in the game. Booty again comes up big and Diggs had a great day. I think he had 70?
He was still their leading receiver, quietly.
Yeah, so it's not like he was nowhere to be found. Like, he contributed a lot in the game.
Yeah.
But when you're able to spread the ball, Mac Hollins had a few big catches. Booty, Pop had the big catch on 4th down. Like, Hooper, like I said, Hunter's still getting the ball. Like, he's still a weapon. Like, I think it shows Drake's, he's not just looking at one person to throw the football to, right?
Yeah.
Like, now it's everybody is getting their touches, and which I think it just shows his comfortableness in the offense. And it's not just like, if I don't throw it to Diggs or Hunter, I have no one to throw it to. No, I'll hit Booty in the seam. I'll hit Mac Hollins up the sideline. Like, it shows his trust, he's just. And I think as an offensive coordinator, it gives you confidence that now you can start putting people in different positions.
Yeah.
And sure, you might like certain guys in certain routes. And I mean, Diggs, these intermediate routes, like that slant, I think he caught a slant in the game. He just catches things. Like, it was a contested catch, a hard catch, but it's an easy, quick hitting play. So it's just, you got all these different weapons. Guys can do multiple things. And it just, I don't know. It makes me excited. And it kind of, people bring up the trade deadline. Like, I don't know if you want to disrupt in the receiver room what they kind of have going right now. Because like I said, it's like guys have 5, 5, 5, 3, all these different numbers. It's good to see. I like seeing the game played that way when you're dispersing the ball to people.
And it makes it harder to defend. And I do think maybe there's this element, like Patriots fans at this point are conditioned to, we need a receiver because it's been so long. But it's, they're in a good place. And to your point of Drake spreading the ball out, and this offense better than just about anybody. For me, having watched as long as I have, I think he's even hitting some of the guys on what are supposed to be clear out routes.
Yeah.
Or routes that really aren't in the progression.
Yeah. I mean, and the one he hit to the hole to Mac Hollins, kind of in the red zone area. I'm watching it and I'm like, is it a great play design? Like, there was nothing that special, but it just looks easy. He makes those throws look easy, which to me, that's kind of an explosive play that's easy because he's confident in his throw. He's obviously really good at those because we've kind of seen him do those kind of shots.
Cover 2 hole, yeah.
Yeah, we've seen it 3 or 4 weeks now, right? It was Booty in Buffalo in the 2-minute drive. this one to Mac. Like
Booty last week again.
Yeah, like these are just easy kind of. They're big plays, but they're kind of easy plays. I don't know if that makes sense, and it's good to see, and it's good to see. I love seeing the ball getting dispersed to different guys, and because it just makes it harder to defend. It's like, all right, well, if a team decides we got to take away Diggs, all right, well, Booty, Hunter, Mac Hollins, they can have a good day. So I don't know. I like the way the team's playing offensively right now with the run game getting going this week.
And the downfield passing especially. I think the league average on deep throws is for completion percentage like 40-something%, and he's pushing 80.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just you're not supposed to be that efficient throwing the ball down the field. And to your point, it looks easy. I mean, the throw to Kayshon Boutte at the end of the first half, they're talking. I don't know if you heard Jason McCourty on the broadcast talking.
I did see that, and I saw him tweet. He's like, I'm gonna have words with Josh and Drake after this. And
were you surprised they ripped that one in that spot?
No, because I mean, look, who knows what the actual route concept was, and what Josh technically wanted him to do with it. But again, Drake can't be a robot. Like, he looks and sees that with whatever it was. He saw pre-snap coverage. I got a shot, and then checks it. Like, no offensive coordinator is gonna be mad if you rip that and score. Like, you just, sure. Jason was right. Josh is a last shot coach, but at the same time, it would be the same thing. Like, hey, it's we got a minute 40 left in the game, or left in the half, and you kind of call a run to get it going, and the run breaks off. They're not telling the running back to slide on the 5-yard line. Like, you get points if you can get points. Like, it's football. You can't draw up everything perfectly. Like, oh, this run. You don't think a lot of times, right? A run's going to go for 80 yards, but it could. And so if you call it and it goes for 80 yards, you're not telling the guy to slide at a minute 30 left. Like, because now that creates a lot of issues. So, Jason's right. It was a great play and an even better catch by Boutte. I mean, I saw it and was like, oh, that was great. And then you watch the slow-mo. I mean, to get his hands out there, the fingertips, great catch. There was some really good catches by multiple guys in this game. Obviously the Boutte catch, the Hooper touchdown earlier to kind of moss the guy and go up and and I think with Drake, he's got to be so confident now. Is like, I just got to give these guys a chance. They're making the plays for me, right? Even the one to Diggs on the sideline later in the game, they were kind of backed up, and it was a great catch. And I think Jason talked about it, the late hands by Diggs. And what that means is a lot of times receivers or DBs are taught to play the receiver's hands. So you'll see guys like ball in the air, they start reaching their hands out. Now the receiver or DB knows, like, oh, the ball's coming, I'll swat. Diggs is just running, and at the last second, he gets his hands out, and the DB's now late trying to swat the ball. It's over with. And so Drake's got to be confident in all these guys because, he's giving them chances, and they're coming up big for him. Whether, last week, the contested catch with Boutte, different things like that, Diggs doing that kind of stuff. The Panthers, I said it when they played the Panthers, that fourth down play to Diggs, like, he's got to be confident in his guys because they're making the plays for him.
Real quick, you mentioned the end of the half. Titans kind of helped the Patriots out there too with that being the
I was watching it and I'm like, you got nothing to lose. You're interim head coach for the Titans. Like, sure, like if you were up in the game, maybe you're just like, all right, let's go up. But like Drake's getting the ball at half. He's starting to come on. I don't know why you don't try to use your timeouts and try to get points. You got I think Joey Sly, he was here last year. He's a big leg kicker.
Yeah.
I think he hit a 50-yarder in the game.
Drilled it.
Yeah. So like, what you got to get to the, 40-yard line to maybe have a shot. Like, try it. So that was a weird kind of strategy for me. You're an interim head coach. You got nothing to lose. I would have been more aggressive, but hey, it helped us out.
I kind of interpret it as, look, when Tom was here, we would talk a lot, and not to, I don't want to get ahead of the Brady and Tom comparisons, and I know he broke some of Tom's records yesterday, but it was teams would make bad decisions out of fear of, we don't want to give Tom Brady the ball in this situation or whatever. I kind of looked at that as, well, they're already going to have a chance for the double score. If we give them the ball back with 40 seconds left, does Drake get them in a field goal position and they get their score? And maybe they were afraid of Drake.
And also, I mean, teams are having to think too, Marcus Jones is explosive with the
That's a
balls in
good
his
point.
hand. So you're
Yeah.
punting to Marcus, like who knows what like if Marcus isn't back there, and I'm not saying I don't know if this is factoring in too, but I'm just saying as a fan base, you got to feel good because you've got an all-pro level returner back there. He gets the ball to midfield somehow on a good return. Like now you're only having to get 15, 20 yards. That's a out, that's a seam, in cut. Like there's different things, especially if you had timeouts, which I think the Patriots did. So that's what I would file in the bucket of complimentary football, right? Like defense goes out there. The defense is interesting. They've started slow the last few weeks, and I wrote down in my notes like the second half was just a feeding frenzy for the defense. Sacks, turnovers. They just, and that's great to see. I do worry because there was a point in the game yesterday where we kicked the field goal, right? It's 10-3. They scored. Go get the ball back. Now Tennessee's got the ball, and that game could have easily, been 17-3, and now you're playing big catch up.
Yeah.
Versus a better team, like, we got the Bucks and Falcons coming in soon. Like that, you don't want to start that slow.
You don't have that margin for error.
Exactly. So, and some of that might be, playing conservative defensively. A lot of these teams can be script teams, and they come out and they look so good. They get to some things they've seen and want to do, which they kind of did with Cam Ward. And once you get off script, now it settles down. But that can be something I would say worrisome. If there's one thing to be worried about, I don't want to. The defense has just started slow each week, even in the Saints, right?
Yeah.
Saints go out there, score. Now, granted, they bow their neck and Saints don't score again. So, I mean, they get field goals, but it's hard to win with field goals in this league. So that would be one area on the defensive side of the ball, like starting fast, getting the ball to the defense or offense, letting them go score. So that's kind of something, if we want to nitpick on that side of the ball, would be something I would, hope to see.
Yeah, not just surviving the opening script.
Yeah, they kind of are just out there surviving. And to me, but like then when you say that, like I said again, in the second half, it's a feeding frenzy, turnover, sacks, everything. So that's good to see. But sometimes you can dig yourself in a hole, and it's hard to get out of.
I'm waiting for the numbers for Monday Night Football to look it up, but they are one of the best third quarter teams in the league on defense. I mean, I think it's like 60-something yards a game in the third quarter. Just back to the offense real quick, the offensive line, the rookies on the left side. We'll get to the test they have coming next week in a minute, but Jared Wilson, kind of a rough game. Will Campbell, I thought had some up and downs. I thought he had some good moments in this game, but gave up a couple pressures. Where were you at with those guys in this game?
Yeah, I thought Wilson really struggled this week. And look, you can say a lot of things, right? Jeffrey Simmons comes out of the game early. They were still able to run the ball with Jeffrey Simmons in there. I mean,
and Devondre Sweat's a really good player too.
They've got some good players, and so he really gave up 3 sacks, right? 2 solo and then 1 a game with Campbell. They ran a game on the left side, so that's and some of the sacks. There was one later in the game he gave up to Sweat where the center sliding right, and Bradbury did a good job. Like you always, when you're in the slide as a center, you want to post for that guard, right? Because he's got a hard job. He's out leveraged. That guy can just shoot the gap. So you want to post, what you did, and you can see Wilson goes to punch and he kind of gets forward, gets his weight out of whack. Sweat swipes your hands. There's no way to recover once your weight's over you. So, and then there was the one to Ward, I believe, earlier in the game was his first sack. I think Ward's a good player, and but he never really punched him. He never really did anything to disrupt him with his hands. Was just kind of into him and never got a handle or grab on him, or really punched him. And even if you punch a guy, which I believe in, the punch stops a guy's momentum. Pass pro, even though you're going backwards, it still needs to be a physical act. So he never really punched him and never really got a handle, which we always said, you move guys with your lower body, you control them with your upper body. Well, you're not really moving anyone in pass pro, but you still have to control them with your upper body. So that's one. It just didn't have a great game in the pass game. He's been up and down at times throughout the year. But in saying that, he hasn't played a ton of football. He was behind Cedric Van Pran.
Yeah.
I think that's how you say his name, who's a great center at Georgia. Then he played center, so he's never really played guard that much. I don't remember him playing a lot of guard at Georgia.
I don't know if he did, it was, single digit snaps,
Yes,
I think.
sparingly. So it is a new position. He's learning. He's going to have to figure it out. Look, playing guard and center it's very different. And it's centers can be easier than guard at times. It can be harder at guard at times. So it's just he's making that transition. Hopefully it's something we'll see get better and better. And saying that, going to next week with the Browns.
Yeah, how's Jim Schwartz going to use Myles Garrett to attack this defense?
So, look, we've said Will Campbell's played, good D ends, right? But in reality, TJ Watt, Crosby, a lot of those guys line up on the right side. Now, they will play different areas, but that's, 90%.
Yeah.
Now, this is the opposite. Myles Garrett plays on the left side. That is where he plays. Granted, he will line up inside. He'll play over the center. Those guys like to get their matchup. So, it'll be a big test for Campbell. And, I'm sure if Schwartz and, I don't know how they work. If, Garrett comes in and says, hey, like, I want to play a left guard some too. Like, I want to get some of this guy. Like, I don't know how that works or if it's Schwartz, but, this is going to be a big test and it'll be good to see. Look, is it going to be perfect? I don't know. I hope it is. It could be. But at the same time, like, it's just going to be a good measure. Like, this is one of the best in the league for our left tackle. So I'm excited to see, him go out there and play. I think Josh is going to know that.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that we might see Josh do to help?
He's going to do a couple of different things. He'll use different types of chips, whether it's tight ends, running backs. He'll do things where he'll leave the tight ends in protection at times. You can do different things where you can run 7-man, protections with the back and tight end. You can run 6-man protections where you leave the tight end, free release the back. You can chip with the back. You'll see, Josh has done a great job of, you can see the short game getting mixed in, and it's been good plays for him, a lot of times, especially with some of the receivers, digs inside, different things like that.
It's funny, for all we're talking about the deep ball, Trake's been unbelievable in the short stuff. Didn't have an
I saw
yesterday.
his press. He was like, I don't want to be a check down Charlie. And I'm like, buddy, you're not, but like, you are also throwing the ball where it needs to go, which is, to me, is the biggest thing. Like, right? Like, it's not just short intermediate passes, but like, he's also killing people with those. And when it's called for, he's doing it. And as a quarterback, that's what you need. There was nothing more frustrating as a lineman when you call a 3-step drop, which is, sometimes the tackle's cut. It's quick game. You can be more aggressive, and the quarterback sitting back there patting the ball, trying, like, no, get it to your guy and let's go. Or you got to know that as a quarterback, if it's not there, you got to figure out how to get rid of it, because O-linemen aren't expecting that, and that's unfair to do to your O-line, which he's done a great job of. But it's going to be a big challenge this week for the offense. I'm excited too to see the environment at Gillette. I think it'll be reminiscent of, what it was earlier in my career, right? Like the buzz, the excitement around the team, and it's great that they went on the road 3 times. That shows a lot of mental toughness, a lot of good qualities for the team. But now the fans should be itching to see that at home, right? We've got to see it, but we've seen it on TV. I'm sure there was a lot of Pats fans down in Nashville. They always travel great there. But, the fans deserve to get to see that live on Sunday, which I'm excited for. Hopefully it'll be this weekend we did there was a pet adoption event at Patriot Place. I was at, which was a great event. But, beautiful fall Sunday day, like that kind of day for the fans and the hype around the team. It would be great to see. And, I'm excited. I think I'll be at the game, so I'm excited to see what this will turn into.
It's going to be cool. Pop Douglas was talking about it yesterday. And look, they left, or before the last home game, they were 1-2.
A month,
Yeah, we were still kind of doing the where's Drake at, blah, blah, blah. And you come back 5-2, leading the division. Saw the division standing like the top teams in each division. It's like the Patriots, Steelers, Colts and Chargers.
Yeah.
And that hit me right in the nostalgia.
Are the Chargers above the Broncos right now?
It might have flipped. I looked at that yesterday, like right at the
Yeah.
end of the Patriots game, so the Broncos hadn't played. But either way, like seeing those teams up there, it's
I
going back a little bit.
But this is what makes the NFL. And look, you can say the strength of schedule thing. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
They got some tough games coming up. Falcons, Bucks, Bills again. Like they're going to get their share of tough teams. But this is what makes the NFL the business model. You know, whether it's through the draft, free agency, the strength of schedule, like it keeps it fresh. And you're seeing that in college now with the transfer portal and all this stuff. You're not seeing it's just Alabama dominating for 20 years or, for what the Patriots did for 20 years in the NFL is really impressive. And, and now you're kind of seeing the Chiefs hit their stride. So, you're going to have some of the same cast of characters, but it allows the parity of the league, which makes it the most entertaining product.
So we'll be back next week, talk about the Browns game, see if the Patriots still up there in the standings. For more from David, you can check out his appearance on Zolak and Bertrand and on the Patriots pregame show. For more of this show, Patriots Hub podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, also on the Sports Hub YouTube page. David, thanks a lot. We'll do it again next week.
Yeah, hopefully after a win, baby.
Hopefully.